नमस्कार दोस्तों। हमने कल वो मॉडर्न इंडिया का लेक्चर सीरीज शुरू किया है और अभी अभी तो ये सेकेंड लेक्चर है कि आज हम देखेंगे कि कंसोलिडेशन एंड एक्सपेंशन ऑफ ब्रिटिश पावर इन इंडिया। ठीक है। एंड अभी तो पिछले क्लास में हमने थोड़े थोड़े उसके यूरोपियंस के एडवेंट के लिए के बारे में बोला था कि वो कैसे इधर आया, वो क्या क्या काम इधर किया। पोर्चुगीज़ के बारे में बोला वो, उसके बाद वो ब्रिटिश के बारे में कुछ बोला वो कि डच और डैनिश, और अंत में हमने फ्रेंच के बारे में बोला। ओके। एंड वी विल बी समराइजिंग दिस इन दिस स्लाइड, दैट इज द पोस्ट कॉन्क्वेस्ट ऑफ एशिया माइनर बाय ऑटोमन एम्पायर। कि ऑटोमन एम्पायर थे, उसने कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल को कॉन्कर किया था इन 1453 में, एंड द ट्रेड रूट्स वेर अंडर द कंट्रोल ऑफ द टर्किश एम्पायर. And Venice and Genoa also monopolized the trade routes. Hence, European traders had to search for new sea routes to Asia and Spice Island of Indonesia. हमने बोला कि डच वो थे, उन्होंने स्पाइस आइलैंड्स को कंट्रोल किया था उस टाइम पे, एंड ऑल्सो द ईस्ट इंडीज, एंड डिस्कवर्ड द केप ऑफ गुड होप. Post Renaissance, Columbus of Spain, he discovered America, and Vasco da Gama of Portugal, he discovered all new sea routes to India. Okay, English conquest started with conquering Ireland in 16th century. Dutch had factories in Gujarat, Kerala, Madras, Bengal, Bihar, UP. Their main interest lay in Indonesia. Okay, and island of Java and Sumatra and Spice Islands. Okay. And in today's video, you'll be looking at how the British Empire expanded their control from a trading company to a government that is controlling the entire nation of India. Okay. पहले तो उन्होंने क्या किया था कि वो उन्होंने एक ट्रेडिंग डिपोट की एक फैक्ट्री और एक कॉमर्शियल सेंटर स्टार्ट किया था सूरत में इन 1608. And Hawkins came to Jahangir's court and he received a royal firman. Royal firman means a permission letter for trade in West Coast. In 1615, Thomas Rao, an imperial firman to trade all parts of Mughal dynasty. कि उसका trade he could do it in all the parts of Mughal Empire and South India after Vijayanagar Empire declined. Okay, like in South India, Vijayanagar Empire had declined. First factory in South India was in Machilipatnam in 1611. Center shifted from Machilipatnam to Madras. A fortification at St. George was started, and island of Bombay was occupied in 1668. And major rivals for the British Empire was Marathas. Okay, and Eastern India first factory was in Orissa in 1633. Okay, this is the image of Thomas Hawking getting the royal firman from Jahangir. Okay, now this is the timeline of British rule or the company rule in India. As such, we can see that the East India Company was formed in 1600, and 1614 factories were set up in Machilipatnam and Surat. Then Delhi was sacked by Nadir Shah from Persia, and after that, in 1745, there was a siege of Madras by French. First time a fort besieged by an European nation. There was a French-Anglo rivalry which was going on in 1746 during the Carnatic Wars, we can say. Okay. Then Robert Clive captures Arcot, a turning point in Indian history where British got upper hand on French. In 1757, Battle of Plassey, Nawab Sirajuddaula lost the British East India Company, हार गया था वो, and Mughal Emperor gives rights to East India Company to collect revenue. He got revenue rights for Bengal in 1765, and in 1767 first Anglo-Mysore War takes place between Hyder Ali and East India Company, and in 1773 East India Company gets monopoly to sell opium in Bengal, and in 1799 Tipu Sultan gets killed in the Battle of Srirangapatnam. The Second Anglo-Maratha War and the fall of Delhi in 1803, and in 1806 Vellore Sepoy Mutiny takes place. And in 1825, we have the massive migration of Indians to the Reunion and Mauritius. And in 1835, English made official court language. Then the doctrine of lapse came into force to capture Sindh province in 1843, and in 1853 the first railway line between Thane and Bombay happened, uh, or it was made. And in 1857 the famous Indian Sepoy Mutiny, or the first war of independence. And in 1858 India comes under the crown, ending the rule of East India Company. So this is the timeline of East India Company's role in India. And in the coming lectures, we'll be looking at a much detailed view of all these events in a larger scale. So first is the British conquest of Bengal. Like you, how the British conquered Bengal. The British exports from Bengal were actually saltpetre, rice, indigo, pepper, sugar, silk, cotton, textiles. Bengal comprised of 60% of East India Company's trade with India. Factories were set up in Balasore, Hooghly, Kasim Bazar, Patna, and Dhaka. And in 1717, British secured royal firman from Emperor Farooq Siyar for trade in Bengal. Royal firm, okay. And a right to issue dastak. Dastak means free passes for trading for movement of such goods issued. Dastak were cause for perpetual conflict. So Alivardi Khan was engaged in wars with Maratha for 15 years. British strengthened their entrenchment in Fort Williams at that time. And Alivardi Khan died in 1756, and he was succeeded by Siraj-ud-Dawla. Okay, and there was an internal tussle, and opposition was there for Siraj-ud-Dawla on the court. Okay, and what happens is that Siraj-ud-Dawla, he was mocked by the British in a letter, and the British also started minting their own coins in their Fort Williams. Okay, and in and around Bengal. And what happened is that in a letter to the Nawab of Bengal, they basically humiliated him, and Siraj-ud-Dawla took an army. He took Fort Williams. He conquered Fort Williams, and um, basically took all the Englishmen over there as hostages. And hearing this news, what happens is that Robert Cleve comes with an army, and he seized uh, Fort Williams from Siraj-ud-Dawla, and basically he was killed because he was betrayed by Mir Jafar, one of his generals. Okay, in 1765, Robert Cleve signed a Treaty of Allahabad with the Nawab of Oudh and Shah Alam. The treaty effectively legalized the British East India Company's control over the whole of Bengal, and treaty effectively legalized the British India Company's control over whole of Bengal. Okay. And Battle of Buxar firmly established the British masters over Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. So, Battle of Buxar, the war which we told about early between Siraj-ud-Dawla and the British East India Company was Battle of Plassey. Battle of Plassey. Okay, and in Battle of Buxar, what happens is that even though Siraj-ud-Dawla had lost, and much part of Bengal was lost to the Mughal Empire as well. Okay, that time what happens is that the Awadh, the Shah Nawab of Awadh, and also the Mughal Empire or the Emperor, they combined together and attacked the East India Company in Battle of Buxar, where they failed. Okay, so the victory over the combined forces of Awadh and the Nawab and the Mughal Empire established British as the masters of Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, and placed Awadh at their mercy. Okay, so we'll be looking at in detail about Battle of Plassey, which happened before Battle of Buxar, in a detailed view, and also Battle of Buxar. So the reasons for Battle of Plassey is that Nawab seized Fort Williams, killed foreigners inside. Okay, it was called the Black Hole tragedy, and basically at that time we know that Warren Hastings was one of the hostages at that time. Okay, and Nawab was opposed by a dominant group in his court, Rai Durbe, Jagat Singh, and Omichand. Okay, and the battle coach alliance was Mir Jafar, husband of Aliwadi Khan's sister, plus Robert Cleve with Rai Dilbar, Omichand, and Jait Singh on one side against Siraj Dawla alone. And the result was that it was won by the trio that Mir Jafar became the new Nawab. Okay, and the other is that 1760 Mir Jafar rebelled, and in treaty he lost again. I mean, he lost it. He lost the rebellion, and in treaty of 1760 he was replaced by a Mir Qasim. But when Mir Qasim shifted the capital from Murshidabad to Mughal in Bihar for safe distance from company. Okay, again we can see that he was also replaced, and again Mir Jafar comes into the picture. Okay. Now, when we look into the detail of Battle of Buxar, the misuse of Dastak was that trading permissions or trading tickets that were given by company servants. So, the company servants misused the Dastaks. The imperial firman gave right to trade in Bengal without paying transit dues or tolls. Servants told, so what the company servants did is that they sold Dastaks to friendly merchants, and hence Mir Qasim abolished all duties. And tussle led to war between company and Mir Qasim. Okay, that time there was a war between Mir Qasim and the company, and what he did, he fled to Awadh. Okay, and he formed an alliance with the Nawab of Awadh, Siraj Dawla, Shuja Dawla, and Mughal Emperor Shah Alam. Okay, Shah Alam is the Mughal Emperor at that time. So we have Mir Qasim, Nawab of Awadh, and Mughal Emperor on one side against the company. So English army was led by Hector Munro, and a short and decisive battle was won by the English army under Hector Munro. Okay, and Mir Jafar was placed in throne as a mayor prophet. So earlier it was Mir Jafar itself, and later they replaced him with his cousin Mir Qasim. When the Mir Qasim rebelled against the company and he fought against the company in Battle of Buxar, he was replaced, and Mir Jafar was put again in the throne. And British supremacy was established in northern India. Okay. So that is the details of battle or the two battles which played a decisive role in establishing the company's dominance in northern India. ठीक है, okay. अभी तो हम देखेंगे कि उसका governance, how was the governance system of Bengal actually happened. Okay, so dual government in Bengal from 1765 to 1772, and after all that, Robert Clive was made the governor of Bengal after the Battle of Buxar, and company became the masters of Bengal. And dual government came into being from 1765 to 1772, and it was abolished by Warren Hastings in 1772. Okay, so it was basically two type of systems happened in dual government, that is Diwani, that is collecting rights and also collecting revenues, and also Nizamat, that is police and judicial function. So what is dual system? We'll be looking into it in a detailed manner. ठीक है, क्योंकि वो डुअल सिस्टम दे, उसमें एक दीवानी राइट्स भी दे और निजामत राइट्स भी दे. ओके, इन दीवानी इट वाज कैरिड आउट बाय कंपनी एज कंपनी वाज द दीवान, एंड निजामत दैट इज टेरिटोरियल ज्यूरिसडिक्शन, कि उसका पुलिस फंक्शन दे या कि जुडिशियल फंक्शन दे, वो सब करते थे, वो भी कंपनी करते थे. ओके, वाज कैरिड आउट बाय दिस डिस्क्रिप्ट इंडियंस, सो दे वेर निजाम. Okay, so this system of separate दीवान and निज़ाम was called administration. कि आज के काल में हमको देखा है कि वो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ये करता है कि वो पुलिस का काम करता है, जुडिशियल का काम करता है, वो कि सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर्स. ये सेम वे बंगाल टू हैड टू टाइप्स ऑफ सिस्टम्स. ओके, एक थे वो दीवानी, उसमें वो रेवेन्यू कलेक्ट करते थे, वो कि टैक्स कलेक्ट करते थे, और इन निज़ामत वो पुलिस का रोल करता है और या जुडिशरी का काम करते थे. ठीक है, हाउएवर रियल अथॉरिटी वाज ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी इन द निजामत ऑल्सो. ओके, अभी आता है वो कि मैसूर. अभी बंगाल, बिहार, ओरिसा, वो कि नॉर्थ इंडिया का काम पूरा पूरा ब्रिटेन का अंडर आ गया था, वो कि ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी का अंडर आया था. अभी साउथ इंडिया बाकी थे. Okay, now Anglo-Mysore War and the fall of Tipu Sultan happens. Okay, that is in South India, or we can say in Mysore. Okay, and Krishna Raja Wadaya ruled. Wadaya dynasty was there. He ruled from 1734 to 1766. Then Hyder Ali came into power in 1761. He de facto ruler Saravadikari had proximity with Bengal, and Hyder Ali he set up an arms factory with in Dindigul. Okay, and Hyder Ali was a close ally of the French. Of the French. Okay, he was supported by the French in the case of army, military strength, and technology was provided by the French. Okay, and we can see that there was a war, a divisive war between the and Marathas under Madhav Rao and Hyder Ali, in which Hyder Ali was uh, defeated. Okay, there was a time when Madhav Rao comes and he liberates a queen. I forgot the name of the queen, and his son and her son, uh, who were imprisoned on a hilltop, and she was thrown to die there by Hyder Ali. Okay, Madhura was the one who saved her and her child. Okay, in between 1774 to 1776, he recovered all lost territory by multiple invasions of Marathas. Okay, and the wars, main wars of the Anglo-Mysore War was the first war. It took place in 1767 to 1769. It ended in a Treaty of Madras. Okay, in conclusive war, the Treaty for exchange of prisoners and the help of British in case of attack on Hyder Ali. So there was a Treaty of Madras. Under Treaty of Madras, what the British had to do is that whenever okay, जब कोई हैदर अली को अटैक करेगा उस टाइम पर ब्रिटिश को उसको मदद करना था. ठीक है, बट ब्रिटिश ट्रीटी विद निज़ाम ऑफ हैदराबाद फॉर प्रोटेक्शन, एंड निज़ाम ऑफ हैदराबाद वाज आल्सो देयर for protection from Hyder Ali in lieu of northern Kirkas. Okay, now Marathas, Nawab of Arakat, and English. Okay, latter was duped by the former to on persuasion of Hyder Ali. What happened is that the British failed the treaty, and they never actually helped Hyder Ali. The second war in 1780 to 84, Treaty of Mangalore happens. Inconclusive war again. कि उसमें हमको कुछ भी नहीं बोल सकता था कि ब्रिटिश जीता है या कि हैदर अली जीता है. ओके, एंड violation of treaty by British happens. As I told you, British didn't come to Mysore aid when Maratha attacked Mysore. Okay, Ali's growing proximity with French at that time, हमने बोला कि उसका साथी थे वो फ्रेंच थे, बल्कि more than the British, they were close to the French. Okay, British occupied Mahi, which was under Hyder Ali's possession. Sir Ericot defeated Hyder Ali in Port Novo. Hyder Ali died of cancer in 1872, but the war continued by Tipu Sultan. Okay, in third Anglo-Mysore War in 1790 to 92, Treaty of Zerangapattanam takes place. Okay, and in that, and heavy indemnity was paid by Tipu. In 1790, Meadows defeated by Tipu. Cornwallis and Maratha and Nizam won in second attempt. Okay, in that time, what happened? They took the aid of Marathas and the Nizam, and they crushed Mysore. And in the fourth Anglo-Mysore War, Mysore conquered the British. Tipu died. Mysore came under subsidiary alliance. All these alliances, lapses, and all, we'll be looking at in very much detail in the coming slides. So no need to worry. Okay. Tipu's friendship with French worried the British. That was a major cause for this, and they accused him for plotting against them. And Arthur Wellesley, the brother of Lord Wellesley, participated in the war. Okay, Arthur Wellesley, in lot of the prelims, mock tests, and all, we have seen that Arthur Wellesley is been put in the place of Lord Wellesley, and the questions were asked. Okay, so it is important to note that Arthur Wellesley is the brother of Lord Wellesley. Okay, and by the fourth Anglo-Mysore War, the Mysore power in the southern India was crushed, and the Mysore dynasty was given to whom? The Wadaya dynasty. Okay, it was made a part of Maurya dynasty. Okay, now what happened? Abhi to we know that by the end of the Anglo-Mysore War, we can see that the Marathas were allies of the British, but before that there was a war between the Marathas and the Anglo, or between the British and the Marathas. So the prominent Marathas families after the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761 were given below. The Gathwad Barada, Third Battle of Panipat. Okay, in Third Battle of Panipat, when we look into it, it was a battle fought between the Marathas on one side against the Durrani Empire or Durrani dynasty under Ahmad Shah Abdali. Okay, he was the one who established the Durrani Empire. It was basically an Afghan empire. Afghans they were. Okay, so they fought a war against each other in which the Maratha was crushed, and around 50,000 to 60,000 Maratha soldiers died in the battle. Okay, it was actually a very, very sad thing that happened to the Marathas. Okay, so after the Marathas, the prominent Maratha families, after the Battle of Panipat, Third Battle of Panipat, the prominent Marathas families that were there were the Gevkant of Baroda, the Bhosle of Nagpur, the Holkars of Indore, and the Scindias of Gwalior, and the Peshwa of Pune. Okay, these five families were the prominent ones. Okay, so when we look into the Anglo-Maratha War, first one is first Anglo-Maratha War, the Treaty of Surat between Raghunath Rao and the English gave up Sylhet and Basin in return of company army, and the Treaty of Purandar happens, in which about treaty was cancelled by Calcutta Council, and the Regency renounced Raghunath Rao, kept him under pension. Nana Fatnavis he was the prime minister. Defied this treaty, the British retaliated. The Treaty of Wagdon was signed. When Treaty of Salbai takes place, Treaty of Wagdon was rejected by Warren Hastings. He defeated Scindias. Peace was signed for 20 years, and this 20 years never lasted. In Second Anglo-Maratha War takes place. Jaswant. So in between this, we can see that between 1782 and 1803, Anglo-Mysore War takes place. Fourth Anglo-Mysore War takes place between this time over here. And what happens is that in that time, we can see that, and third Anglo-Mysore War and fourth Anglo-Mysore War, we can see that Cornwallis was with Marathas and Nizam. Okay, so it was basically this 20 years of peace that they said it was actually a gimmick in such a manner that they could get the military strength of Marathas to defeat the Mysore also. Okay, and in the end, the British never respected the treaty, and they attacked Marathas again. So in Second Anglo-Mysore War in 1803 and to 1805, Jaswant Rao Halkar defeated the forces of Bajirao, the Peshwa, and the Scindia, and Treaty of Basin was signed between the British and the Peshwa in return of the Pune Stone. So Peshwa accepted subsidiary alliance. Scindia and Bhosle tried to save Maratha independence, and they were defeated by Arthur Wellesley, the brother of Lord Wellesley, and signed the subsidiary treaty. Jaswant Rao Holkar was defeated in 1804. Okay, in the Third Maratha War, the Treaty of Basin surrendered Maratha's independence. In 1817, Peshwa attacked British residency at Pune. It was the last bid to save Maratha kingdom. He rallied all Maratha chiefs against the British, but they were defeated. So it was a death blow. The Third Anglo-Maratha War was a death blow to Marathas. The Treaty of Pune happened with Peshwa, Treaty of Gwalior with Scindias. Okay, after the Marathas, now we can see that Marathas were gone, Mysore was gone, entire North India was gone, but now Punjab and Sindh they वो अभी बाकी थे. Okay, from 1818 to 1857, all territories kept Punjab and Sindh came under British control. These were territories. These both territories were conquered. So Punjab and Sindh were conquered. Sindh, Anglo-Russian rivalry, fear of conquest made British sign treaties with the chiefs of Sindh, Amirs, and subsidiary treaty was signed in 1818 1839, and Sindh was annexed in 1843. Okay, Sindh came into being. Then Punjab. Okay, Punjab. We have the Sikh had treaty of perpetual friendship with Ranjit Singh, the Treaty of Amritsar. So the thing is that the British had a perpetual treaty of friendship. So British never actually invaded the Sikh Empire or the Punjab during the reign of Raja Ranjit Singh. Okay, and he was also a very strong ruler. So after the death of Ranjit Singh, Raja Ranjit Singh, what happens is that the Treaty of Lahore was signed. The first Anglo-Sikh war takes place. The Treaty of Lahore signed after Sikhs lost at war. Okay, war indemnity of a crore. Jalandhar Doab was annexed. Resident under Henry Lawrence established in Lahore. So a resident called Henry Lawrence, he was established there in Lahore. On failure of paying war indemnity, Kashmir sold to Ghulam Singh. Treaty of Bariwal Rani Jindan removed as regent. The Council of 686 Zardars formed, presided by British resident. British resident, he was the company's representatives over there. And second Anglo-Sikh war takes place. Mulraj, governor of Multan, revolted. Sher Singh, sent to suppress revolt, joined Mulraj. He was the pretext of annexation of Punjab by Lord Dalhousie. Sher Shah lost Sikh army and the Sher Shah surrendered in 1849. Punjab came under Chief Commander John Lawrence, became the first Chief Commander. Okay. So we'll be looking into the administrative policies of the British. Before that, we'll be recapping all the conquest of how British conquered different parts of India. Okay, so this was a map before the on the eve of British conquest in India. So this we had the Nawab of Bengal in Bengal, and there was Nizam of Hyderabad over here. Then the Mysore Sultanate was there, and also the Durrani Empire, which fought Marathas on the third Panipat Battle of Panipat, and we have the Punjab Sikh over here. Okay, and the Nawab of Sindh was there, and Nawab of Awadh, and the mighty Marathas over this region. Okay, this was the entire structure of the princely states or the empires at that time on the eve of British conquest. So, on the timeline, we know that first they came to Bengal, the British came to Bengal, and they conquered Bengal in such a manner that they fought against Siraj-ud-Dawla, and in the Battle of Plassey, it was a battle of is in the Battle of Plassey, it was conquered, and after that, Mir Jafar came, and he was replaced by Mir Qasim. And when he rebelled against the British, so this area basically it was handed over by the British. And when Mir Qasim rebelled, he fought against with the British, and he fled to Nawab of Bengal. But Nawab of Bengal, along with the Mughals, I mean Nawab of Awadh, along with the Mughals and Mir Qasim, they attacked. They again attacked. They both, along with Mir Qasim, attacked British in Bengal, but in Battle of Buxar, but they lost. So what happened? In this entire region came into the British control, but the Awadh was at the mercy of the British. So that was the case of all this region. Okay, all this region by the Battle of Buxar, it came under the British rule. Okay, directly or indirectly. So after that, what happens is that we come to Mysore. Okay, Mysore. What happened is that Mysore was fighting against uh, the British rule. Hyder Ali basically he fought against the British rule, and he was also fighting against the Marathas. Okay, and what happens is that by the fourth Anglo-Mysore War, Mysore was also defeated, and we can see that Nizam of Hyderabad was also under the sphere of influence of the British. And in the end, this entire region came into the control of the British, or indirectly or directly, it was under the sphere of influence of the British, and this Mysore state was put under the rule of Wadayar dynasty, which was also a uh, ally of the British. Okay, now what was left was the Marathas were there. Marathas were there over here, and also the Sindh was over here, and the Punjab kingdom was there. Okay, so what happens after the Mysore war? What they did is that they fought against the Marathas. Three Anglo-Maratha war takes place, and in the third battle they conquer Marathas completely. Okay, they conquer Marathas completely, and in Sindh they take it by subsidiary alliance, and also after the death of Raja Ranjit Singh, they conquer the Punjab by the Anglo-Sikh War. Okay, which we discussed earlier. So it was, this is the gist of what happens and how militarily or by military might the British conquered almost 70% of the Indian territory. Okay. Uh, now we will be looking at the administrative policies or the techniques that were used by the British during the rule of 1777 to 1869. Okay, first is the ring of fence policy. Okay, ring of fence policy was by Warren Hastings. Okay, give defending one's own territory by creating buffer zones outside and surrounding territory. Awadh acted as a buffer zone against Afghan invasion and Marathas' attack on the British territory of Bengal. Okay, when we look into the territory of Awadh, we can see that it is in a place between the Afghans and also between the Marathas. Okay, uh, when we look into India's map, we can see Nepal on top, and on top of that we have China. So Nepal actually act as a buffer state, we can say like that. Okay, that is the ring of fence policy by Warren Hastings, and subsidiary alliance by Wellesley. Allying Indian states maintained British army at its frontier and paid for their maintenance. Ruler had to post British official at their court. Ruler couldn't employ Europeans without British permission, couldn't contact enemies for making peace, and maintenance was very high. Ruler could not pay at that time. They will cede away a part of the territory. So Nizam of Hyderabad was the first. So we can see Nizam of Hyderabad fought along with British in the Anglo-Mysore War, but he was the first victim of subsidiary alliance. In AD 1798, it detached the Nizam from the French and forbade having alliance with Marathas without British consent. So second state it was uh, Mysore. Subsidiary alliance is such a manner that they will put a British army. Indian princely states were asked to maintain a group or column of British army in their territory, and their army was disbanded, and the British were the people who will protect them. So first was Nizam of Hyderabad, but he could not pay the such a manner that he could not. Whenever they had to pay a huge amount of money to the British army, which was stationed in their area, and when they failed, a large portion of their territory was given to the British. Okay, so second state after Nizam of Hyderabad was the second state was Mysore. When then Wellesley compelled the Nawab of Awadh to accept subsidiary alliance in AD 1801. Okay, it was signed by Nawab of Awadh, Nizam of Hyderabad, ruler of Mysore, ruler of Tanjore, Peshwa, Bhosle of Berar, Sindhyas, the Rajput states, the ruler of Bharatpur and Holkar. Okay, so all these people signed subsidiary alliance. Okay, or they were forced to sign the subsidiary alliance. Okay, and second is doctrine of lapse or policy of annexation by Lord Wellesley. So it was extended by a version of ring and fence. So in this policy, adopted son could be the heir of private property, but could not inherit the empire as a ruler. So if a king had no children and he adopted a person or adopted a son, this adopted son could not become the ruler of the kingdom. So that was the doctrine of lapse. So naturally, what happens? And state was annexed by, it was taken over by the British. Okay, states annexed in this manner were कि एक थे वो सतारा, जयपुर, संबलपुर, भगवत, उदयपुर, Jhansi, Nagpur. So we need to look into the chronological order of this. So it has been asked previously the UPSC the chronological order in which these states were annexed. So they will give different states, and we need to arrange them in the chronology in which they were annexed. So last one to be annexed was Nagpur. वो पहले थे वो सातरा थे. Okay, Satara was the first to be annexed. उसके बाद जयपुर थे, संबलपुर, भगत and Udaipur, then Jhansi and Nagpur. ठीक है. In 1824, before the time of Dalhousie, the princely state of Kittur was acquired by the East India Company by this doctrine. And it was as per this policy that Nana Sahib, the adopted son of Maratha Peshwa Bajirao II, was denied his titles and pension. Okay, the final moment straw came when Awadh was annexed by English East India Company under the terms of doctrine of lapse on the grounds of internal misrule. You Awadh was there, he was it was Awadh was called the cherry on top of India, cherry on top. So the people or the British were so much interested in conquering Awadh that they basically used all the necessary provisions that was available. We can see that they used subsidiary alliance, but they could not do that much. Then they went for doctrine of lapse, and they conquered Awadh. And they, in the end, they told that on grounds of internal misrule. But the Nawab of Awadh was he was much loved by the people of Awadh, and when the British termed it as a misrule, it was actually cause of a discontent. So we can see that it happens in 1856, a year before the 1857 revolt. So the conquest or the annexation of Awadh was one of the reasons for the internal discontent among the people of India at that time. Okay, and which eventually led to the First War of Independence. And latent and policy of proud reserve for maintaining scientific frontiers and safeguarding spheres of influence. Then John Lawrence, the policy of mastery inactivity. It was a reaction for the first Afghan war due to the frontier problems and Afghans' passion for independence. John Lawrence, he practiced that he did not interfere even in successive war conditions. Peace was maintained at the frontier. No party took foreign help in the civil war. So this brings us to an end on how British conquered India in a step-by-step manner. So I hope today's lecture was productive for you guys कि आप लोगों को समझ में आया कि कैसे ब्रिटिश और अंग्रेजियों ने हमारा देश कॉन्कर किया. So until next time we meet you all. God bless you. Jai Hind.